Welcome students to the third part of the bioprocess control and monitoring of variables. We have discussed in the last two lectures about the temperature control and measurement and about the flow rate measurement of the gas and the liquids in the fermenting vessel. Now today we are interested in discussing about the other variables that most likely we are discussing about the pressure, the shaft power, the agitator shaft power and the rate of stirring and the foam sensing and control mechanism today. So our interest would be in dealing with these four variables. So we take up the first variable, that is pressure. Now why we need to measure the pressure in a fermenting vessel? The first and the very important reason is safety. The safety for the persons who are handling the vessel, who are manually dealing with the bioprocess techniques, and the safety of the plant where exactly the facility exactly where the process is being taken up. So for the safety reasons, the first and the crucial reason for which we need to keep an eye on the pressure within the fermenting vessel. Then another important factor is the designing of the instrument. The instrument should be designed such that it can withstand the pressure that would possibly be generated during the process of the fermentation. So the consideration has to be taken when we design a fermenting vessel. Another important criteria for requires is media sterilization. Now when we want the media to be sterilized, then the pressure will influence the solubility of the gases and the maintenance of the sterility. So mostly a positive pressure is preferred for the media sterilization and for the maximization of the solubility of the gases. So it will contribute to the maintenance of sterile conditions of the media as well as the whole equipment as and the all the gaseous components also, or any other liquid substances that would be added during the process of the fermentation will also be maintained in a sterile condition. Now the sensors that we can use for pressure measuring are either a Borden pressure element, it can either be a nested diaphragm type pressure sensor, or a bellows pressure gauge, or a piezoelectric transducer. Now we take up with first the Borden pressure measuring sensor. It is used as a direct indicating gauge. It is direct indicating gauge. The partial coil has an elliptical cross section AA, which tends to become circular with increasing pressure, and because of the difference between the internal and the external radii, it gradually straightens out. The process pressure is connected to the fixed socket end of the tube, while the sealed tip of other end is connected by a geared sector and a pinion movement, which actuates an indicator point to show linear rotational sequence. Now, when a vessel or a pipe is to be operated under aseptic conditions, then a diaphragm gas can be used. Now, the changes in the pressure cause the movements of the diaphragm capsule, which are monitored by a mechanically levered pointer, just as we can see here in the nested diaphragm type pressure sensor. Then alternatively, the pressures can also be measured remotely. That is, you are not exactly present on the location or the site of the bioprocess uh, where the process is occurring. So you can also monitor it remotely with the help of a bellows pressure gauge. Now here the bellows are connected to the core of a variable transformer. The movement of the core generates a corresponding output. It is also possible to use pressure sensors incorporating strain gauges. If a wire is subject to a strain, its electrical resistance changes. So that this is because the change dimension of the wire occurs and the change in the resistivity also occurs due to stress in the wire. The output can be measured with over long distances, and you can measure the pressure change over there. Then there are other methods like electrical method, where you can use a piezoelectric transducer. Now here certain solid crystals are taken up, such as quartz crystal can be taken, that can have an asymmetrical electrical charge distribution. Any change in shape of this crystal will produce equal external unlike electric charges on the opposite faces of the crystal. This is the piezoelectric effect. Now pressure can therefore be measured by means of electrodes attached to the opposite surfaces of the crystal. So it is necessary, in other cases also it is important to monitor the pressure if you want to record and monitor the oxygen concentration in an inlet or an exit gas outlet. Then also where we are using the oxygen gas analyzers, there also we need to monitor the pressure. So now how we will control the pressure? Now the pressure can be controlled with the help of safety valves. Now these safety valves have a, as you can see in this typical diagram, it has an elaborate uh, assembly of the parts, different parts. That is, it has a particular body nozzle from where you can release. There is a screw gasket that will keep the things in position. Then there is a nozzle lock screw, nozzle ring, reaction hood, disc holder, bonnet gasket, guide, bonnet, spring, spindle. So it has a elaborate composition of different parts. Now this pressure safety valve will operate as soon as the pressure rises or decreases. The spring will either expand or it will contract. So this movement of the spring will help to release the pressure within the fermenting vessel. So mostly these are incorporated in all suitable places in all the vessels and pipe layouts which are likely to be operated under pressure. The valves are set to release the pressure as soon as it increases markedly above a specified working pressure. So there may be provisions, other provisions also that may be necessary to meet any containment requirements. Now the next variable is the agitator shaft power. Now this can be done with the help of a wattmeter or for a large scale application, or with a torsion dynamometer for small scale applications, or even with strain gauges for accurate measurement and overall friction problems. So we can discuss this now. The wattmeter, on a large scale, it is attached to an agitator motor which will fairly give a good indication of the power uptake. Now this measuring technique becomes less accurate as there is a decrease in scale to pilot scale and finally to laboratory fermenters. The main contributing factor is the friction in the agitator shaft bearing. So there the limitation comes there. The friction problems are a limitation for the use of watt meter. Then another thing, another sensor is a torsion dynamometer. Now these dynamometers have to be placed on the shaft outside the fermenter, where the measurement will once again include the friction of the bearings. So both these instruments, wattmeter and torsion dynamometer, both are limited in use because of the friction problems. So to solve that problem, we have a strain gauge. So here is a typical diagram of a strain gauge. Now the strain gauges, they are mounted on the shaft within the fermenter, and they are the most accurate method for measurement and all for the dealing with the friction problems. So here an attempt has been made to mount four identical strain gauges at 45-degree angle to the axis in a hollow shaft, and the lead wires from the gauges pass out of the shaft via an axial hole, and electrical signals are then picked up by an electrical slip ring arrangement. So that the compression or the tension causes the change in the resistance of the gas. So that resistance is measured between the two points, where we can identify how much change is occurring in the consumption of the shaft power. Next important variable is the rate of stirring. That is, how much with what RPM or how much stirring should be done in the fermenting vessel. Now stirring, as we know, is important to maintain the nutrient contents or availability of the gaseous components to each and every cell within the fermenting vessel, or each and every microbe within the fermenting vessel. So that rate of stirring has to be controlled as such that the microbial cells are not disintegrated or damaged because of the stirring, or there is some kind of loss of gaseous components or nutrients due to the rate of stirring. So it has to be measured and monitored accurately. So it can be done with the help of a tachometer. Now the tachometer may employ either an electromagnetic induction or a voltage generation or light sensing or a magnetic force to detect the rate of stirring. Now the choice for the type of tachometer will be determined by the type of signal which is required for recording and the process control for regulating the motor speed and other ancillary equipment. Now in the small scale laboratory fermenters, there are obviously provisions for to vary the rate of stirring, but in most cases the control or the management is done with an AC slip motor that has an acceptable torque curve that is coupled to a thyristor control. At the pilot or a full scale, the need to change rates of stirring is normally reduced, and when necessary, it can be done using gearboxes or by modifying the sizes of the wheels and the drive belts, or by changing the drive motor. It is, however, the most expensive alternative for measuring the rate of stirring. Another important consideration in maintaining an optimum growth condition or optimum production condition for the microbes is to maintain or to restrict the foam formation in the fermenting vessel. Now when the foam formation occurs, then the air water interface is interrupted, or it is blocked, we can say. So from there the exchange of the nutrients or the toxins or the exhaust gases is not easily possible, and the this results in the death or the disintegration of the products or the cells, and a layer of scum develops on the air water interface. So this further exaggerates the problem of the foam formation. So to control those problems, the sensing of the foam formation and its control is very important. Now in this case, a probe is inserted through the top plate of the fermenter. So typically this is a fermenter diagram, and a probe is inserted through the top plate of the fermenter, and as soon as the foam formation occurs and it rises to the level of the probe, it will touch the probe tip, and it will actuate current flow. It will be detected, the probe will detect it, and with the timer a circuit will be established where the foam will act as an electrolyte and the vessel will act as the earth. Now this current the circuit will actuate a pump or a valve to release an anti-foaming agent. Alternatively, we can add the anti-foaming agent at a regular rate, at a predetermined rate, slowly, so that the problem of foaming never occurs. We can even add the anti-foaming agent at the very beginning of the fermentation process also, to control the foaming problem. Thank you.